morning, students. So today is the welcome in orientation for ELD1501 Early Learning and Development Areas. I am your lecturer, Mrs. A. Carrim, and you can email me on ecareer1@utisa.ac.za. Okay, so today I would like to welcome you. It is our pleasure to welcome you to this module, Early Learning and Development Areas, ELD1501 in the Diploma in Early Childhood Care and Education. We will mostly be referring to the field of early childhood education, ECE, which includes care for young children. So through the study of the historical, psychological, and sociological foundations of early childhood education covered in this module, you will be able to acquire the necessary knowledge, skills, and professional dispositions that form part of a basic understanding of the principles and theories that influence early learning and development. This content is extremely dynamic and challenging, so the learning content and activities contained in the study will basically provide you with the opportunities to reflect on your current understanding of yourself as an early childhood teacher and to develop the skills to become a reflective thinking teacher. So we trust that you will enjoy your studies, and this will basically be greatly inspire you to become a passionate ECE teacher and be part of the noble profession where we hope to improve child and family outcomes. So please don't hesitate to contact me should you experience any problems or need additional support. So the purpose of this module is basically to provide the foundation and it also serves as an introduction for modules of early communication, language and literacy, early mathematics, the creativity in the early years, identity and belonging, knowledge and understanding of the world, and well-being. So the module will enable qualifying students to gain an overview of the subject-specific knowledge of early learning development areas to support effective practice as an ECD educator. So furthermore, qualifying students will gain specialized pedagogical knowledge of theories, concepts, and principles of the different early learning development areas for young children. Okay, so we're looking at the assessment plan. The assessment plan is basically to complete this module, you will be required to submit 6 mandatory formative assessments. So this means that it will count 100% towards your final module mark, which means that there is no examination. All information about when and where to submit your assessments will be made available to you on the module site for this module. So the due dates for assessments as well as the actual assessments are available on the module site for this module. So remember that. Your assessments will comprise of a combination of MCQs, which is your multiple choice questions, as well as your written assessments. So the module will be using continuous assessment only. Like I've said previously, no examination. Therefore, you need to complete all assessments. Let's take time to understand the assessment plan. I know this may be new to you, especially being a new module as well. The quiz, basically assessment 1 will test you on learning unit 0, which is your orientation, just to make sure that you've read the orientation, you understand what the module is about, and learning unit 1. So this will count 9% towards your final mark. Your written assessment will be based on learning unit 1, which will count 25% towards your final mark. Your assessment 3, which is your quiz, testing you on learning units 2 and 3 will count 8% towards your final mark. And then you get assessment number 4, which is your written assessment, testing you on learning units 2 and 3, which counts for 25% of the final mark. You go to assessment 5, which is your quiz, learning unit 4, testing you on learning unit 4, 8% of your final mark, and your assessment 6, which is your written assessment, learning units 4, as well as application in practice, will be 25% of your mark. So assessment 7, I'll give you more details on that. It's an elective assessment. It's a written assessment covering content of all 4 learning units, which is 25%. So let me explain you further. So please note that all assessments are mandatory, which means that some are high-stake assessments. They have a higher weighting towards the year mark, as you've noted when I mentioned it in the previous slide. And some assessments are low-stakes, so they have a low weighting towards your year mark. So see the table below as well as the table above. You will notice that I've mentioned all those weightings. So you have 3 quizzes at the end of the day. Assignment 1, 3, and 5 are quizzes, and that counts 25% of your mark. Group B, that's Group A, which is low weighting. Then you have Group B with high weighting, which is Assignment 2, 4, and 6, which each counts 25%, building 75% of your final mark. So remember the elective assessment, which is assessment 7, which I've noted previously. It's because of the high impact of Group B assessments on the year mark. You have only one opportunity to improve the lowest mark of one of your assessments in Group B. So just say if you didn't do well in one of your Group B assessments, you will basically be able to qualify to submit assessment 7, the elective, under the following conditions. You had to have submitted all 3 assessments from Group B, but need to improve a mark of one assessment that you either have failed or is very low. So listen to this. You have failed to submit one of Group B assessments and submitted proof to your lecturer why you were unable to submit. Then you can take that opportunity. Your year mark is within the range of, your year mark should be within a range of 40 to 50%. Please note that the year mark is not an average of your marks. So you need to make sure that you work towards getting, more than 50 and actually more than that to be able to, do well in this module. Let's take time to understand the assessment plan. So all assignments are defined as either optional, mandatory, or compulsory or elective. So what elective means, if it's not submitted, the student gets no mark for this item. The best of the required submissions will basically count. So it's basically your option to higher your mark. Mandatory assignments, if not submitted, the student gets no mark for this item. So if you don't submit the assignments, that are part of the assessment plan, you will get no marks. Compulsory assignments, so let's not look at those two because we basically looking at the mandatory and elective assignments for this particular module. Application of knowledge, why I want to show you this pyramid is that you need to understand that this module will be testing you not only on remembering and understanding the content, but applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. So you need to understand this module in a broader light. And, I'll talk about the thinking teacher in another slide, but just make sure that you understand that you need to be able to apply your knowledge. This module has a lot of activities and things that you need to consider while working through it so that you ensure that you gain this type of knowledge. Okay, so let's look at the teaching and learning platform used for this module. It's ELD1501 for the year 2024. You'll find it on your module component once you enter the My UNISA site. After you put your password and your username and your password, you will come to this welcome page. And just remember to ensure that once you communicate with the university or your lecturer, that you use your My Life UNISA email only, as no communication from Gmail accounts are allowed, especially due to the POPI Act, which protects your privacy. What you need to do on the module site, you need to check and read announcements weekly. Remember, ELD1501 is a continuous module, which means that you have a lot of assessments that you need to complete. So things will be updated within this announcements, and it will keep you on track if you ensure that you continuously recheck to see if there's any reminders or anything that you need to know regarding this module. So the study materials required to get started is basically your tutorial letter 101. And your ELD1501 study guide, which is divided into 4 documents, as well as your orientation PDF document that has been, updated and put onto your module site under learning orientation, as well as under additional resources. So remember, there's no prescribed book for this module. There is recommended books that you will note in your tutorial letter 101. And all relevant course material is only available online on this module site. So the content pertaining to each learning unit is available in the PDF format within each learning unit on the module site. So you must download each PDF document, 4 in total. And just to remind you about the orientation, so you can consider that one as well and save it. You will need them as you work through the online lessons and activities. So make sure that you do this immediately when you register. So where do you find your learning material for this module? I have put it under additional resources. So that is in case you haven't noticed the sections that I've created where you have Learning Unit 0, which is your orientation, Learning Unit 1, where you get your study guide, just specifically for Learning Unit 1, your Learning Unit 2, study guide, Learning Unit 3, Learning Unit 4. So it's basically one study guide that has been divided just for your ease of use, so that you focus on one learning unit at a time, especially because this is a continuous module. We want you to work through each learning unit as much as possible so that you gain the necessary knowledge and skills so that you can move on to the next learning units. So where are your assignments? You basically have assessment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7 within your module site. You'll see it on the side. You're going to have to pin it so that to make sure that your the site section does appear. I've noticed some students when they just enter the module site, they don't see what I'm talking about, but you will note that you can click on it and everything appears on the side. So assessment 1 is basically, I've made sure that all assessments are open basically on the 31st, which is 31st of January, just so that you can pace yourself according to, how you would like to work within this module. I know some students have more time than others. Some have to work in a slower pace, but at the end of the day, you need to make sure that you write down your opening days and closing times so that you don't miss any due dates. So if your assessment 1 is due on the 16th of May at 11 p.m., you need to make sure that you submit it at least a few days before or week before, just so that you don't leave everything for the last minute. And this saves you from load shedding issues, network issues, all of these things that we cannot control. And, I have a lot of students who email me that, this happened on this day, I was unable to submit, but unfortunately, it's on you as a student. You need to make sure that you are well prepared and you submit well in advance so that you don't get these situations that are uncontrollable and that just hit you at the last minute and then you're unable to submit, and meaning that you don't get your mark, and which can actually affect you from passing this module altogether. So it's very important to diarise these dates. I've added it here, but it's obviously on the module site. Please confirm it on your module site. It's very important that you work within that module site so that you ensure that all your dates are correct and that you do not, wait until the last minute to submit and miss these due dates, and actually, which actually will affect your passing this module. Problems with submissions. You get we get a lot of late submissions, students trying to email. Just remember, I'm telling you in advance that no email assessments can be accepted. So which means that if you are late for the submission, the system will not accept anything further. You'll even email me to say that there's no submission button. It's because the system is closed. There's no way that I as a lecturer can open or close the system. It's up to you to submit within the before the due date and time. So incorrect assignments. Remember that you have incorrect assignments that can be submitted. Just say if you're submitting a written assignment and you're uploading, and because you haven't saved your document correctly, you might just upload your question paper of the assignment instead of your actual answer script. And this happens a lot. I know it's something that you think can never happen to you, but trust me, we've seen so many students email after the submission to say they've submitted the incorrect document. And unfortunately, this is also something that can affect your studies, where you won't get the mark. You basically get 0 for not submitting the correct document. For rep files as well, please do not save your document incorrectly. Even if you're going to write and scan things, please make sure that your things are neat and scanned properly so that we can see the document. We have a lot of cases where students give documents that are very blurry and cannot be marked. So that also affects your mark, where you can actually get a 0 for not giving a document that can be marked correctly. Plagiarism, this is very important. Please note that I will be adding things to announcements as well as your as well as additional resources, just so that you understand that that plagiarism is something that the university has no, basically, you can actually fail each assignment and get complete zeros for it and sit in a disciplinary committee, and also you can actually be banned from the university altogether. So please make sure that you understand what plagiarism entails and what not to do, and what to do to ensure that you have not plagiarized. So do not wait until the last day, an hour, to upload assignments that I've communicated in the previous slide as well. What is FAQs? So FAQs is frequently asked questions. I know you may not see anything there as yet, but please check this regularly, as I may answer a lot of questions that you need to gain clarity on, and I will update it as we go along, as per the questions that are constantly asked. In this way, you'll be able to have, answers to your questions, whether it be the weekend or during times you're waiting for a response, so that you get assistance as quickly as possible. What is additional resources? So, like I said, I may update additional resources as we go along. And please be sure to check this tool to see if anything is posted that will help you within the module side, within your studying, within with the content as well. Whatever can assist you or is needed will be posted here. What is the student blog for? I noticed that no one has actually started the student blog in terms of introducing themselves, but it's basically just a way to build this community together. So to get started, I encourage you to use the student blog to introduce yourself and get to know other members. So you just have to reply and tell us a little bit more about yourself in 2 or less sentences. And I look forward to learning about my students. And remember, we're building this community for the entire year. So we want to have that personal space where we can just get to know each other. So do we have to participate in discussion forums? I noticed that many students ask this question. So my answer is yes. It is part of the learning opportunity and to help keep you motivated in working through the module thoroughly. So far, you will find discussion forum created for assignment queries, where you can just literally go to each assignment subject line and ask a question about that specific assignment. Please do not give answers and things like that in the discussion forum, but you can, gain understanding and gain clarity, just so that you're able to, make sense of certain things that you're not sure of. So please participate with your fellow students, and there will be more discussion forums probably coming up that can help you within the studies, within the learning unit sections. So why should you read the orientation and TAT 101? So it's basically to give you an understanding of the purpose of the module, as well as the specific outcomes and expectations of the module, and also to complete assessment 1. If you've noted previously, we will be testing you on certain things noted in the orientation and the TAT 101, so that you are, so that you're well acquainted with basically the module and what is the expected, what is expected basically. But remember, both of these are important, orientation and TAT 101. So where does my lecturer post about each learning unit? So please always check these sections on your module site. I've created Learning Unit 0, where you'll get all information regarding the orientation, Learning Unit 1, Learning Unit 2, 3, and 4. So all of this will be important sections that you need to go through. You'll also find the PDFs, the study guide that was divided into the learning units, so that it's easy for you to follow through. The outline of this module. So this module is made up of 4 units, and the diagram below provides an overview of the title of each learning unit. So introduction, Learning Unit 1, an introduction to the theoretical knowledge or informing the elders. Learning Unit 2, comparing and contrasting early learning development areas in different countries. Learning Unit 3 is analysis of the South African early learning development areas within a selected country. And Learning Unit 4 is reflection on the pros and cons of structuring early learning and care in the South African context using experiences from the field. So Learning Unit 1 is, like I said, the introduction to the theoretical knowledge informing the elders. So When you have completed this learning unit, you should be able to engage with the implications of adopting particular theoretical slant in particular contexts, survey relevant theories in development, learning, and curriculum to understand the construction of early learning development areas. In Learning Unit 2, you need to be able to compare and contrast early learning development areas in the curricula. So, in terms of New Zealand, India, Uganda, Finland, all the countries that they've discussed, and you need to understand the early learning development areas of the 4 countries, discuss country context in terms of early childhood education, their curriculum and early learning development, compare the 4 countries using information provided in the terms of early childhood education, reflect on the country's experiences, through personal framings of practice. So in Learning Unit 3, you have analysis of the South African early learning development areas with India. So when you have completed this learning unit, you should be able to identify and explain the 6 learning development areas of the South African National Curriculum Framework, the NCF, in relation to their discipline base. Compare the early learning development areas of the NCF with the National Early Childhood Care and Education curriculum framework for India, evaluate by contrasting the South African early learning development areas and related themes with India, and also reflect on how the knowledge of early learning development areas and comparisons with other countries are useful to your own practices. Learning Unit 4 is basically reflecting on the pros and cons of structuring early learning care in the South African context using experiences from the field. So at the end of this unit, students will be able to complete, you must be able to complete case studies and reflective exercises to illustrate the value and the pitfalls of a structured approach to early care and learning, develop creative pieces using specific criteria to advocate for quality early care and learning, basically. So what this module expects, the module expectations for this specific module, we believe that your development as an ECE teacher will progress if you position yourself as a thinking teacher learning through this open distance e-learning environment. So amongst other experiences you will have with us, as an early years teacher, you will need to address the many challenges that young children face in early learning and development. So the knowledge we will expose you, it basically comes from the many sources, including some rich countries, but also Africa and South Africa. So this will allow you to build perspectives to inform your thinking and action and reflection. And the illustration below shows what you as a thinking teacher does. You think critically and creatively, you work with a purpose, you ask a lot of questions, you see things from different perspectives. You use cycles of reflection to improve practice, you solve problems using the best solutions, and you commit yourself to self-improvement, basically. And you act in the best interest of the young children and their families. I cannot emphasize this more. So as a student, you need to take responsibility for your learning, engage with the content, reflect on the knowledge, critically engage, analyze, and make meaning of it. As a student, you need to ask yourself this question: what does this information mean for me in my context? All of us are going to be teaching in different contexts, whether it be rural, in urban areas, peri-urban. Everyone are going to have different experiences in different schools because this is how the reality of the situation is. So based on the survey, you need to get the characteristics that allow you to become a self-directed student. You need to be independent, you need to be persistent, you need to have that sense of responsibility for your own learning, a tendency to view problems as challenges, that you can overcome, have that self-discipline, have a high degree of curiosity that allows you to, get to the discussion forums, ask your questions, understand others' perspectives, have the strong desire to learn or change, the ability to use basic study skills, and also the ability to organize your time. I cannot emphasize this more. Organize your time, set appropriate space for learning, especially in this continuous assessment module with so many assessments that you need to get through. Remember, it would be like every month you have an assignment due. And you need to be self-confident. You need to, the ability to develop a plan and ensure that you get to complete your work before the due date and time. Create that sense of joy when you're learning, remember that you need to actively participate in this process. You need to evaluate your progress and just basically learn from your mistakes, have a positive orientation to the future, be creative, have this preference that you need to be independent in the study and structure yourself. It's a very you can actually work through this module very fast, but please take the time that you need to, to understand and to be able to apply your knowledge. Just remember that you are here to basically learn and engage with the content, and not to just basically open the study guide just when you need to complete the assignment and not actually know what you're doing, what are you applying your content, in what context. You need to really engage with the questions and engage in the content and do the best you can. So thank you so much for watching this presentation. I hope that it's helped you in some way to understand the module expectations, and just to get started immediately once you register. All the best, students. I'm here to support you.